Welcome to the channel. Today is going to be a review on the Kubota SVL75. It's a 200-hour review. Now, all these hours were not put on solely by me, some with Dad. So I should have had him on here actually as well so he could go over his thoughts. But I'm probably going to be able to sum up his thoughts as well within this review. Now, what you see here, I didn't do this. Dad kind of feathered this out and did all this. But as you can see, it does a pretty good job. Now, he used the tooth bucket, as you can tell. You can see the lines. We have the flat bucket on today, and we have a ton of other attachments for this thing. But there's some more work I want to do here. And I think the flat bucket is going to be fine. I probably should have the tooth bucket, but no big deal. It's fine. We got our Kubota shirt on. I am not sponsored by Kubota, although I should be. So we can, test out some more equipment. So Kubota, come on, let's go. You can send me some tractors, some other excavators, whatever. I'll take it. I'll test it out for you. Anyway, we're going to jump in this. But before we do that, I kind of want to do a little overview of the outside of it. Now, if you go back to one of the past videos where we took delivery of this, I'll put that up here. We kind of did a little bit of that, and I don't know if we really went over a lot of the features or anything, but we ran it. What a lot of people are saying is going on with these is, from what I've heard a lot of, and some of you have commented as well, is in the back, what they're noticing is oil leaking all over the place. And I better make sure this isn't oil. I think that's just water from the air conditioning. So a lot of people are saying that they ended up leaking oil. They have to send it back to Kubota, and whether that's the engine or whatever it is. I've heard a lot of stories about that kind of stuff, and very low hour machines that it's happening to. So we, knock on wood, we haven't had any of those issues. And again, there's 200 hours on this thing. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that, or, what might be causing that. But again, we haven't had that issue. Everybody's 200 hours is going to be completely different. Everybody does different work, different styles of driving, different configurations. 200 hours is not a lot, in my opinion, for equipment. The tracks, still great. Still in great shape for kind of what we've been doing with it. And a lot of our work has been in dirt, so they're not getting tore up on asphalt, stuff like that. One thing that I have kind of noticed, and this is probably just me nitpicking maybe a little bit, but in a review, you're giving your honest opinion, and that's what I'm going to do. So kind of right down here on the arms, which there's stops here, and there has to be, I get that, but it obviously takes the paint off. So, this is really thick. It's probably never going to do anything. But, depending how, if you try to keep this for the life, keep it for life, then, this is eventually going to rust out really bad. It's already discoloring and everything, and it does it on both sides. And that's because when you're using the bucket, these stops are hitting and cracking the paint, and it falls off, and that's just kind of the nature of the beast. But it happens. So I don't know that there's anything they could do to change that. Probably not. Although the cylinders are only going to go so far, so I'm not really sure. Maybe you could get rid of those completely. I'm not sure of that either. Jumping up inside, obviously with a bucket, it's very simple. You got to step here, step there, and you're in. Compared to a lot of skid loaders or track loaders, whatever you want to call it, this one especially, I was in a Bobcat, a very small Bobcat, was probably half or quarter the size of this. Very tight, very hard to get into. And even in there while you were running it, everything was really tight and crammed. And that would have the foot controls. Definitely not a fan of that. I definitely love that everything is at your hands. You drive with your hands, you operate the bucket with your hands. You're not doing anything with your feet. So I really like that. Now, there are some different attachments like forks, pallet forks. Those, obviously, you don't have a step in the front, so on the side. Those are a little bit tougher, and depending what you have. But very simple to get in here. Quick and easy. And you obviously have the touch screen. Pretty simple. So, as far as operation goes, I definitely like it, for sure. There's different track modes you can do, and I have so you can do a mild, normal, and quick track response. We tend to run it on the mild, which is actually the lowest setting that you can go on, and it seems to be a little bit better when you're turning, especially if you are on asphalt. It's not so jumpy, not so really glitchy, I guess I would call it. If you have it on quick, it's really like hits really hard and it really just wants to jump around. So I wasn't a fan of that. So mild seems to be the best setting for that. And one thing I really do like about this is the throttle down here at your foot. That is really nice because you can actually, you don't even have to touch your throttle lever here at all. You can just use the foot control, and if you're going to be driving into a pile of dirt, for instance, you can rev it up and then back off of it. So that's pretty nice. And we'll see how this flat bucket does trying to dig into this dirt. There's a mound of dirt right here. So we'll see how well this does going in without teeth. This thing is pretty powerful, so I imagine we're probably not going to have too much trouble to do that. One thing you also have to bear in mind is we're on a pretty steep hill right here. So naturally this thing's not gonna have as much drive as it would on the flat or going downhill, but it still doesn't hesitate to fill the bucket at all. Made very quick work of that. And that was with the flat bucket. And a useful tip is to come down the hill, plow into it. That works really well. Another thing I really love about this thing, and a lot of implements or track loaders, skid loaders, a lot of them are going kind of this route, but this was something I wasn't used to with, you know, having a tractor like a Coyote or anything like that. The buckets and to change your implements was all manual. You had to get out, loosen or raise the levers, whereas this, you just come where you want to go, put your bucket down, and then there's a little lever over here, makes it pretty simple. Push it, raises those levers, and all you really have to do is lower it and back up, or change the angle and back up, and you're done. Super easy. So you don't even have to get out. That is a huge benefit to having one of these machines. I don't know how well I'll be able to do this one-handed. Looks like pretty good. Throw it on there. Now we pull the switch, locked in, we're good to go, ready to dig. Well, when you get out, you can pull this little lever here, or when you're inside, click those, one on each side, and that'll lower the door. Now, the thing that I really love about that is that's how it goes up and it locks up there. A lot of your other ones, like I think New Holland, and maybe they switched to it now, but the door actually opens. So depending where you have your bucket height, you're not getting out. Or if you leave the door open, you're smashing your door. So I definitely like the way that this door is designed, kind of up, out, and you don't have to worry about it. So if you want to dig and do whatever with it open, you can. If you want to do it with it closed, you can also as well. So Definitely glad for that, because one of us probably would have smashed the door or trapped ourselves in there if we had forks on or whatever we were doing. This is a high output unit. I have not used any of the high output implements. Dad has used one of the brush mowers that was high output, and he says they're fantastic. Kind of the same thing back in the back here as far as serviceability. Dad changed the oil in this after the break-in period, and he said the servicing of it super easy. So again, I didn't do that, but I was going from what he told me, and as you can see, all your filters are right here. Your oil's there. I mean, everything's right at the back here. Air filter here, fuel here, which you do that to fuel it up. You don't even have to open this. One of the other things too is kind of the same thing for like your excavators, at least in Kubota. I don't know about the other manufacturers, but in order to tighten your tracks or loosen them, it's just a grease zerk fitting, and you know, you're basically putting pressure in there with grease. So that's really easy. Again, the serviceability side of it, pretty simple. As far as power goes, this is, I think they make a 65, 75, and then I think there's a 95. So this would be right in the middle. For everything that we're gonna be doing and everything that we use it for, this is plenty of power. Does the job great, compared to what we were using was just a loader tractor, and between that and the bucket is like twice the size. So this can get the job done a lot quicker, a lot faster, and it has a lot more power to do so. Jumping back in the cab, we actually had this cab flipped up. I don't remember what we were doing, but I do remember over winter we did have this cab flipped up, and it might have been for servicing, but super easy to flip this up. Everything is so easy to get at. One thing that I'm just gonna kind of nitpick, which really doesn't matter as far as the usability of the machine, and we don't ever open them really, is these windows. They open about that far, and then it gets really tight. So whether or not it's an adjustment, and this lock isn't even touching it, so it's just really tight in that track, and it did that from brand new. You really gotta pull it back, and that's about as far as I can get it. This one, I can open all the way. So something kind of wrong there. Again, not a huge deal, because it's a window, it's not that big of a deal. It's not affecting how the machine runs or operates or anything like that. There is air conditioning in here. So again, not a big deal, not something that's gonna deter you from buying it. I will also say the ease of operation for this is somebody who I would say, you know, has a little bit of equipment background, but not a ton, can jump in this and run this pretty simple. If you're used to running a tractor, it may take you a little bit of time to get used to driving with your hand, because you're not used to that, especially hydrostatic, you're driving with your foot. But again, as far as operating the bucket and all that, it's pretty easy to do. So we'll just drive up to this dirt pile that's right up here, and we'll just kind of go up to the top and smooth it back down. Not too hard to really do any of that. It does have a float switch on the back of the joystick right here. So when you have this raised up, start pushing it down, and you'll see a little indicator pop up right there. Push the button, throws it down, and now you're in float mode right there. So you can back drag, whatever you're trying to do, smooth out stone, works pretty well for that. One thing that is a little annoying about this is when you get in, you flip your bars down, you can't do anything right away. Your hydraulic lock and everything and parking, I guess, is set. You have to push this button, and now you can operate. And you can't touch the screen then. So set the hydraulic lock, you come over, push it, it still doesn't do anything. So that's probably something that we're not understanding, and there's probably something else you have to do. We've messed around with hitting park and that, and it still doesn't do anything. So you just flip your lever up and work, but it takes a while to get used to. You have to push this button before you can even do anything. Again, not something that's going to deter you really from buying the machine. And the other thing is there's plenty of room on the floor to fit your dog. And yes, she has been in there before. hence why she's standing right here looking in. And these also do come with a backup camera, because it is really tough to see behind you. You can't really see anything. You can't see to the side. You can't see behind you. There is a mirror up top there, but it doesn't really help, especially when the door's open and you can't see directly behind you. So immediately when you start backing up, this camera will come on and you'll be able to see everything behind you. You'll be able to see those lines. And that basically is showing you if you're gonna hit anything or not. And now we have it fully throttled right now with the door shut. And honestly, you can actually hear yourself think. I'm not talking loud, I'm not yelling. It's quiet. You obviously hear it running, but it's not like overpowering to where you need ear protection and stuff like that. So definitely a plus there, because I've been in some tractors. In fact, our Coyote is like that. You can't hear yourself think in that cab. And essentially it should be quiet, and it's not. But this is. Would I recommend buying this machine? And the answer is absolutely yes, I would recommend. If you're in the market, skid loader, definitely check out Kubota. I know Coyote's making some now, but definitely check out the Kubotas. You will not be disappointed. Definitely a fan of it. There's really not any big cons that I would say we have with this machine. It's 200 hours that we have on it, mixed between me and Dad. So not one person has all those 200 hours on it, but we have completed a lot of tasks, moved a lot of dirt, moved a lot of stone with it, and it has not once let us down. So definitely a huge recommendation as far as, you know, Kubota has definitely thought a lot of things out. Serviceability, they have thought a lot of that stuff out. Definitely check it out. You will not be disappointed. Again, I am not sponsored at all by Kubota. This is 100% my opinion on the Kubota SVL75-3. If you have any questions about this machine, anything that I didn't cover or forgot to cover, be sure to let it in the comment section below. I'll be sure to answer it. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. As always, have a great day, and I'll see you next time.